Page 158, if you look at the bottom, you see a bold type term, consecutive integers. So this is still 3-3. It's going to be called consecutive integers. Does anyone know what the word consecutive means? Or can they use it in a sentence? Consecutive. It's a tough one. Nate? Okay, there's an order to it. Like think of our sports teams here. If let's say our soccer boys, okay, I'm just thinking of them, or our girls, or volleyball girls, or cross country, okay, let's just pick soccer boys. If the boys won the championship last year and they end up winning this year, we say that they've won 2 consecutive championships. And you can think of the term back-to-back, right? Consecutive championships. So I'm going to write this up here. Consecutive. And this is not an exact translation, but it might help some of you. Back-to-back. So that's what I mean by consecutive, back-to-back integers, okay? And I'm going to draw a number line to help us out. The first part I think is going to be pretty straightforward, but then when I get into odd and even integers, I might possibly lose some of you unless you're looking at the board at the number line. So I'm going to try to help you out here. But if you pay attention, that will increase your likelihood of getting it later on your own. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want you to draw a number line, and I want you to put 0 somewhere in the middle, and then go a couple to the right and a couple to the left. There's no set standard here for how many numbers I want you to get. That's good enough. Okay. If I drew a number line with the integers as the tick marks like I have here, or as the increments, give me an integer on this number line right here. Just pick an integer. Harrison? 1. Okay, 1. That's a good choice. So I'm going to use a different color because I'm going to do different ones on this same graph. Okay, put a circle on +1. Okay, what is the next consecutive integer from 1? 2. Wow. So we went from 1 to its next consecutive 2. Everyone see that? Pretty basic. Okay, somebody give me a negative integer on this number line. Jackson? -1. Okay, so I'm going to use a different color for myself. -1. So put a dot on -1. What is the next consecutive integer? Yes? 0 is. It went from -1 to 0. That's the next consecutive integer. You guys understand that? Okay. Watch what I do here, and I'll write it down with the next example in just a moment. Okay, let's go back to 1. If that's my first integer, what's my second integer, or the second consecutive integer? It's 2, right? Pretty clear, pretty quick and easy. If my first integer, though, was -1, what's the next consecutive integer, or the second integer? It's 0. Everyone okay with that? Okay. We're going to use algebra to describe consecutive integers, and this is how you're going to do it in the few problems that you're going to do with this type. Not many. Okay. When I'm talking about consecutive integers, I know I've written consecutive integers many times, but this is really the gist of what I want you to get. Consecutive integers. The first one is a number. We're going to call it n, okay? Because they're going to ask you to find these integers, and I don't know what they are, but the first one's just going to be called n. It's a variable. I don't know what it is. So n can be -1, or it can be +1. Does anyone know how to describe algebraically what the second one would be? How would you describe it with algebra? If you don't know the first one, how do you know what the next one is? There's a way to do it algebraically. This is the first one. What is the second one using n? Jenna? Is that O like 0 or O like O? Oh, okay. Oh, I get you. I get what you're saying. Like N, M, or M, N, O. Okay, I get you. The letter. But using N, how do you describe the next consecutive integer? So think of your number line. If that was N, how would you describe the next one?
N squared.
Ooh, we're getting there. We're getting there. Yes, ma'am? It's N plus 1. Wouldn't it be? Ready? What was our first integer that we picked on this example? It was 1. How do you get the next consecutive integer? You add 1 to that, and you get your 2. That works for the first set with the green, but what about the second set? What's the first one? -1. What's -1 plus 1? 0. That gave me my next one, right? How would you describe the third consecutive integer using algebra, using the letter n, the variable n? Carrick?
N plus 2.
N plus 2. Nice seat, by the way. If you can handle it, I'll let you stay there. Okay. If you can't, we'll move back. All right. Do you guys see the pattern? What would be the fourth then? How would you? I'm not going to have you write it, but what would be the fourth? N plus 3, N plus 4, N plus 5. You can keep going. So I'm going to put here dot, dot, dot. That's the pattern, and dot, dot, dot if I want to get the other ones. Okay? That's consecutive integers. No problem with that, I hope. That was the easy part. So if you have any questions, please ask now because I want you to get it with the easy part. Then we're going to move to the harder part. Any questions? Okay? All right, we're ready. That's consecutive integers. That's the first type you're going to deal with. You're also going to deal with consecutive even integers. Consecutive even or back-to-back even integers. Okay? So write that down, and I'll kind of scroll up so I can see my number line again. There we go. I'm going to use black on this one. Okay, give me an even integer on this number line. Any even integer. Okay, neat. 2. Okay, right here is 2. I'm going to put a circle on 2. What would be the next consecutive even integer? Even integer. Please give this correctly. Yes? 4. It'd be over here. 4. If I extended it out, 4. So it jumped 2, didn't it? Kind of jumped 1 over, got to the second one over there. Okay, so 2, 4. What would be the next one? Next one would be 6, 8, 10, so on and so forth. Someone give me a negative even integer. Harrison? -2. What would be the next consecutive even integer? Next consecutive even. Okay, it's got to be even. It's got to be consecutive. 0. It would be 0. What would be the next one after 0? 2, 4, 6, 8, so on and so forth. Okay, does anyone see the pattern algebraically? The first one is still going to be called n. First one's still n. That one's easy. It's an it's an even integer, and it's n. I don't know what it is, but it's going to stand for n. How would you describe the next consecutive even integer? So the second one, using n. Jenna? She says n plus 2. That sounds right, but let me check it out to make sure. Okay, let's say we pick -2. How would you get to 0? What would you have to do to -2 to get to 0? The second, you would have to add 2. So is that right? You'd add 2 to get to the next one? Okay, that looks good. So what's the third consecutive integer going to look like? The third one's going to be n plus 4. Nice job. N plus 4, n plus 6, n plus 8, and dot, dot, dot. Keeps going in that pattern. You guys okay with those? This was the second most difficult one. You just got consecutive even integers. What do you think the last one is? Good. Consecutive. I'm going to make that clear. Consecutive odd integers. And I said this one was the toughest. Okay? I said it was the toughest. What do you think the first one's going to be? just off the top of your head, the first one's got to be which one? So the first one's got to be what variable and what with it, if anything. Yep. It says n. There you go, n. That's easy. Got the first one. It's the second, third, fourth, fifth, all those. Second, third. We're just going to go to the third, and the pattern repeats. I got to find those. Does anyone know what it would be? And I know what our guess is going to be automatically, but it's actually something else.
Shoot.
So try it out. Nate, what do you think?
Is it n+1?
N plus 1. That sounds really, yeah, odd, right? N plus 1. Then n plus 3, n plus 5. That's actually not it. Jackson?
N plus 0.1.
Oh, 0.1 is like a tenth. No, that would give me tenths. N plus a tenth, and then 2/10. So that's not it. What's the next one going to be? I know it's n. I know it's going to be plus, but what? Carson?
N plus 2.
N plus 2. Wait, Carson, we're talking about odd. Time out. Time out. Let's go back to the number line. Give me an odd integer, somebody. Odd integer. 3. Okay, so we'll start with this one. Okay, how do you get to the next consecutive odd integer? What do you have to do to n? You have to add 2. So it is the same as even, isn't it? And that's how you do it. You're going to add 2, add 2, add 2. So the consecutive odd and consecutive even, they are the same. Unless, Jenna, what do you want to add?
Unless you know n.
Yeah, once you find n, you'll be able to use this for odd or that for even. It's the same thing. The reason we get this confused is because, wait, Mr. A, this is odd. Shouldn't you add 1, 3, 5? Well, let's see here. Ready? We picked 3. What's 3 plus 1? Wait, that's not odd, so I have to add 3 plus 2 to get the next one. That's the pattern for odd and even. Nate, go ahead.
Like, why don't we start at 0?
Because what they're asking you is, they're going to ask you questions like example number 4. It says, find 3 consecutive odd integers whose sum is negative 15. So your answer has to be 3 consecutive odd integers. You could have the first one be negative 1, or you can have the first one be negative 99. So it could be any odd integer who, when added to the next 2 consecutives, are going to give you negative 18 or whatever they said. Okay, so you guys get these? These are the same. Please don't write plus 1, plus 3. Just put plus 2 for odd and even integers. Okay. Let's see how this works with the example number 4. Okay, someone read for me example number 4. Okay, Nate?
Find 3 consecutive odd integers whose sum is negative.
Okay, what are we looking for? 3 what? Consecutive odd integers. Do I know what the first one is? Nope, but I do know it's n. It's some number. That's the first one. What's the second one? I don't know. We don't know what the first one is. How do we know what the second one is? How do you write it algebraically? N plus 2. That's the second one. What's the third one? N plus 4. These are the 3 consecutive odd integers that are going to add up to be negative 15, I think is what they said. So I'm trying to find out what are those numbers. Do I know what the first number is? Nope. Do I know what the second one is? Nope. The third one is? Nope. So how in the world am I going to answer this question? What does the problem say? Find 3 consecutive odd integers whose sum is negative 15. What does sum mean? Sum means addition. So what do you think I have to do with these 3 values? I have to add them. Ready? You're going to say, Mr. A, are you sure? Negative 15. Are these the first 3 consecutive integers? N plus 2 plus n plus 4. Are those the first 3 consecutive integers? Oh my goodness, this problem is ridiculous. Really? All that? What do you do before you start trying to solve for n? Simplify. Can this be made simpler? What do you think? Sorry about that. Can this be made simpler? How many n's do I have? Right?
N plus 6.
Okay, you're going to have a plus 6. But how many n's do I have? 3 n's. So it's really 3n. Oh, man. Smartboard. Help me out. 3n plus 6 equals negative 15. Okay, so look at it here. Is n plus 2 plus n plus 4 really 3n plus 6?
Yes.
Yes. Because how many n's do you have?
3.
3 of them. And then 2 plus 4, 6. Have you worked these problems before?
Yes.
This is review. What's my first step on this?
Minus
You're going to subtract 6 from both sides because the variable is being multiplied by 3 and then added with 6. So I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to be left with 3n equals negative 21. Okay? What's my last step here on this problem?
divide
By?
3.
So I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and I'm left with n equals what?
Negative 7.
Negative 7. Okay, what did the problem want me to give them for a solution? It wanted me to give them 3 numbers. Do I know one of them?
Yes.
I know the first one is what?
Negative 7.
Okay, ready? Negative 7. I got the first one, and now you have the other 2 if you do this carefully. What's the second one? Negative 5. How do you know that? Well, what's negative 7 plus 2? Negative 5. What's the third one then? Negative 3. Because what's negative 7 plus 4? Okay, and this is extra. I'm just trying to show you if you're like, no, Mr. A, this is not true. Okay, if this were a number line, the first one's negative 7, right? What's the next consecutive odd integer? What's the next one? So are these 3 consecutive odd integers? Are these 3 consecutive odd integers? And the answer is yes. Do these 3 numbers add up to be negative 15 though? I don't know. Do they? Yeah. These are the 3 consecutive odd integers. That's your answer to example number 4. Okay? Since some of you look like A, you're like, oh, I get this. Or B, nope, don't get this. Or C, I didn't even hear your question, Mr. A, so I don't know how to respond. We're going to help you out. We'll do 2 more. Let's do number 14 at the bottom of the page. Number 14. These are good problems. They actually get expanded. They get tougher as we go on. So if you can get this, you'll help yourself out. Number 14. Matt, can you read number 14, please?
Find 2 consecutive integers whose sum is negative 31.
Okay, it says find 2 consecutive integers. Did they say even or odd? Nope. So which one of these groups am I using? Am I using the odd? Am I using the even? Or am I using the consecutive integers? So here are the numbers I'm going to use for number 14. And it says whose sum is negative 31. So the first one's going to be n. What's the second one going to be? If it's consecutive integers. N plus 1. And they only want 2 of them, right? So you want to find what these 2 are. I don't know what they are. What detail did you find out in the problem that tells you how to figure out what these 2 numbers are? Whose? You can look at it. Whose? Anybody? It's right there. Whose? You can look at your book. It's not up here. Whose sum is negative 21 or negative 31? So what do we know about these 2 when they're added together? What do they have to give me? Is it 31 or 21? 31, I'm sorry. Negative 31. I know that added together, they have to give me negative 31. Okay, so how do I solve this? Well, can you make this simpler? Can you make this easier to look at? What's n plus 1? What's n plus n? 2n plus 1. equals negative 31. Have you dealt with these problems before?
Yeah.
Good. Figure out what n is. Don't tell it. Don't say it out loud yet. Just find what n is real quick. And Jackson, what'd you get for n? I'll give you some more time if you need it. Okay. Harrison, what'd you get for n?
I need a little bit more time.
Okay, all right. Turner, what'd you get for n? Sorry, negative 16. Okay, so you subtracted 1 from both sides, you get 2n equals negative 32, and you divide both sides by 2, and you get n equals negative 16. How many got negative 16? Okay, so you got negative 16. What would be the next consecutive integer? Yes, ma'am? Negative 15. Those are your answers. It's negative 16 and negative 15. Those are the two consecutive integers whose sum is negative 31. Whoa, 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 whoa. Are these, when you add them up, are they going to give you negative 31?
No. Oh, yes.
That's the answer. That's how you check your work. Whew. Okay. In order for you to be able to work on your homework for the rest of the time, all you have to do is do number 15 and get it right. Go ahead. Try number 15. I know. How cruel. One problem. Yep, so remember, if it's odd, what are the integers you're dealing with? You're doing number 15. And don't worry, you still have 37 minutes. Maybe not that much. Sorry, Swivl.
Wait, Swivl's on?
Swivl is on.
Uh-oh. Is Swivl gone yet?
Okay, who knows what the three numbers are using algebra? The first one's going to be n. What are the next two in this problem? N plus 2, n plus 4. They said consecutive odd. Yes, it's n plus 2, n plus 4. All right, did someone get it? Get it? How about this? Let me... Okay. I'm going to pause Swivl. Swivl, look at the back of the book to find the answer. Have a good day.